Advanced debugging strategies. The goal of this video is twofold. First, to come up with some time-saving strategies to help you solve logic errors in your code, especially as your code gets more and more complex. If you look at this code on the left here, which is the exact same code, by the way, that you're going to work with as soon as you're done this video, and you're going to be given this code to try to solve the map on the right. You know, this map is certainly more complicated than what you were looking at when you first started Penjee and you had to pick up a single fish. And the code on the left is certainly more advanced with a while loop, a very long if test, and an else. So we're going to look at a way to save time when you have some small error in a program that otherwise works pretty well. The second goal is to make sure that you know how to use Penjee's built-in debugging tools. And by that, I mainly am referring to the single step button and the run stepwise button, as well as the logger pane on the bottom right. So let's use run stepwise, which I hope you've used before. Run stepwise's speed can be changed by the run speed. I like to make it a little faster than the middle. I like to go towards the top. You find a speed that works for you. And when you do something by running it stepwise, the program executes and you kind of see step by step at whatever speed you chose the program executing. What we're going to do is this. We're going to allow the program to execute until we get to the point that is right before where things become a problem. And we know things become a problem where all these fish are, and that means that it's our if test that is a problem. So I'm going to pause it now. So again, we used run stepwise to get all the way over to 614, or what, no, sorry, 515, right? We got to 515, and now we're where we want to be. And again, run stepwise was nice because it didn't go too fast and allowed the program to go line by line until we could pause it at the right exact moment, at which point we're going to now switch to the super handy single step button, probably the most important button for helping you debug more complicated programs. So now that we're close to the problem, we are going to single step, and all we're trying to do right now is observe. We'll run a line of code, hit the single step button, waddle, and we're trying to figure out where is the problem. There was the problem, right? We seem to have just missed our fish. So maybe from what we just did, you already see exactly where the problem is in our code. Very often, though, you're going to want to do this process several times. And one way to save a little bit of time with Penjee, and this is one of the things I talked about at the beginning, which was we're going to look at a time-saving strategy. One way is to cut down on this part of the debugging process where we're just doing run stepwise over and over again. We're letting the program run. And really, we don't need to wait for the program to get to this point. What we can do is we can just, for now, we can start the penguin right where we want it to. We don't have to start at 5-0 just to try to figure out what's going on with the fish here. We can see that right where the cursor is, which is row 5, column 14, is right before the problem. So instead of starting at 5-0, we're going to, for now, start at 5-14 so that we are basically at the point where we want to go immediately to single stepping. Because again, remember, single stepping is really what's going to help you narrow down the small problems with your code. So I changed it to 514 just to save a little time and to get immediately to the problem. You can still do run stepwise to get closer to the problem. Go a few steps, and I'm going to pause it now. And now we want to look carefully at each step. Again, we're looking at the code and what happens immediately on the right. We're going to waddle. Now, as you can see, we're about to turn left. And now when I hit single step, we're going to waddle. And that is the problem, right? We are about to leave this square. Bam, we just left the square and we left that fish. So by single stepping, you can see that the problem is that right here we forgot to write grab. And if you're pretty confident that this is going to work, I'm pretty confident it's going to work. You can just test it real quick with the run continuously. Again, remember the point of that button is really just to see if the program works, not to debug it. And it looks pretty good, right? If we go back to the total beginning, and now we go and revert this to 5.0, so we're starting at the beginning. We can now hit run continuously and see that every single fish is grabbed by our penguin. So I just want to go over the process again. The debugging tools built in the Penjee are the run stepwise and even more powerfully than that, the single step. In general, you're going to use run stepwise to run the program up until right before the problem of your program. And as you're at that moment, the moment before the bug is introduced, you then want to pause your program and single step line by line, looking at the code and what happens, the code and what happens, the code and what happens, until you see where there's a flaw in your code. It could be that you have a wrong command. It could be like in this case where we forgot to write grab in one particular line, or it could be other things. And again, the other nice little hack, the thing that can make your life a little bit easier is that even if you're supposed to start your penguin at the beginning of the row in column 0, you can save yourself some time and just start the penguin anywhere you want, just so that you're immediately starting right around where you want to begin debugging. So, just one final time, I want to point out that as these programs get more and more complicated, doing strategies like this, using the single step button, using the run stepwise, are going to ultimately save you more time. If you're not using those, you're going to soon find that it's just going to take you longer than other people. And again, the thing that experienced programmers have over you is that they've just been doing this longer. There are tools just like these that professional programmers use to be able to figure out where the logic errors in their codes are. We all make them, and we just get better and better at finding them.